Hello everyone! Today we're going to ask a very simple but important question. Would I buy the Realme 16 5G for myself as an everyday phone? No advertising or paid praise here. We'll review this device as honestly as possible. The smartphone was released on the market on April 2nd, 2026. At launch, its price is around 380 euros. The sub-flagship series from Realme has traditionally been wildly popular in Eastern Europe, Poland, and India. People there are used to looking for the best balance between price and features. But did Realme manage to maintain this standard in the 16th generation? Or have the marketers finally defeated the engineers? Let's figure this out. And we'll start with the unboxing. The box is silver, minimalist, with the inscription 16 as well as 5G on the right. Well, yes, in the lower right corner. And here on the corner, we can also find the AI icon. On the backside, the main features of this device are proudly displayed. And also at the top, we can notice that there is no charging adapter included. Well, let's take it off and see what's inside. Inside, we're greeted by the phone itself. There's also a SIM tray, ejector pin, and a stack of various instruction papers. But what really made me pause was the included cable. Realme put a USB-A to USB-C cable in here. Seriously, almost all modern smartphones, even budget ones, have switched to double-sided USB-C for about 2 years now. But here, you open a box that costs 380 euros and see this massive old USB-A plug. And on top of that, you have to buy an adapter. And not just any adapter, you need to buy one for USB-A, not USB-C. And honestly, as you can see, I was surprised by such a throwback to the past. As for the phone itself, it comes in white, white swan, and black cloud. Mine is the black color. The body is completely plastic, both the frame and the back cover. The dimensions are standard, thickness is 8.1 millimeters, weight is 181 grams. As you can see, it fits quite well in the hand. And I don't know, it's light too. The back is matte, trying to imitate metal. One of the real and very cool advantages is the declared water resistance. IP68, IP69K. Theoretically, the phone can even withstand a stream of hot water under pressure, but we won't be testing that. That's a plus. But a plastic body for this price? Well, that's something to think about. Let's move on to the screens. AMOLED panel, 6.57 inches, 120 Hz refresh rate, Full HD Plus resolution. The picture is smooth, the colors are vibrant. But let's take off the marketing spin. The box says peak brightness is 4200 nits. That sounds like a miniature sun in your pocket, but that's just how it sounds. In reality, the typical brightness here is about 1000 nits, and in extreme sunlight in auto mode, the screen delivers a maximum of 1400 nits. That's more than enough to read text on the beach. But the figure of 4200 is purely a trick for a nice shot in advertising. The screen is just normal, and there's nothing more to say about it. Speaking of the heart of the smartphone, it has a MediaTek Dimensity 6400 turbo processor. Again, turbo is just a fancy word. In reality, it's a 6nm mid-range chip with Mali G57 MC2 graphics. It has 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of internal storage. You can find this information on the back of the box. But the memory uses the older UFS 2.2 standard, which reads and writes large files more slowly than the modern storage used by competitors. In everyday apps like Telegram and TikTok, the phone runs smoothly thanks to Realme UI 7.0 on Android 16. But how does it perform under load? For example, if you take PUBG Mobile, it runs steadily on medium and high settings. The visuals are smooth, gameplay is comfortable, and the body barely heats up. But if you take Genshin Impact, that's where the turbo magic falls apart. On medium settings, you start to get micro stutters, and if you run around in demanding locations or big battles, the frame rate drops noticeably and the phone starts to heat up significantly around the camera area. This is definitely not a gaming device. It really struggles with heavy tasks. But where this phone truly destroys the competition is battery life. Despite being only 8.1 millimeters thick, Realme managed to fit a huge battery in here. It has a capacity of 6550 mAh. The typical capacity reaches up to 7000 mAh. This is the main reason to buy it. The phone easily lasts 2 days without any problems. You can completely forget about power banks. It charges at a power of 45 to 80 watts. You can see this right here on the box. It's not a record-breaking speed, but for such a giant, it's quite reasonable. In about an hour and a half, it will reach a full charge, and I think that's enough for everyone. Let's move on to the cameras and take an honest look at them. On the back, we have a main module with 50 megapixels and an auxiliary monochrome plug at 2 megapixels. In other words, there is simply no ultra-wide-angle lens here. For 380 euros, this looks like some serious cost cutting. The front camera is also 50 megapixels. And let's open the camera menu. And here, Realme has packed in a bunch of software features. In photo mode, there's an AI lighting effect. There are 2 color profiles, vibrant and natural. Zoom is only digital from 1 times to 10 times. They've added a fun atmosphere mode. You can also find an AI landscape mode with a dehaze effect for foggy weather, as well as a maximum resolution mode at 50 megapixels. And now the main thing, the pain point. This smartphone can only record video in 720p at 30 and 60 fps and 1080p at 30 and also 60 fps. And that's it. Guys, on a phone that costs just under 400 euros, there is no support for 4K video recording. For me, as someone who works with video content, this is immediately a huge and glaring drawback. There's also an AI logo proudly displayed on the box, as you can see, but let's not kid ourselves. Of the actual smart features that I personally noticed, maybe I'm wrong, aside from the AI features in the camera, there's only the smart AI cycle, which tries to predict which app you'll open next, and the outdoor mode for optimizing the screen and sound. There's no generative magic or smart object removal from photos, at least I personally didn't notice any. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me in the comments. And let's sum things up. So, why should you buy it? First, let's talk about the pros. The first is, of course, the huge battery, 6,550, 7,000 milliamp hours in a relatively slim body. Top-level water resistance, IP68, IP69K, and a good 120 Hz AMOLED screen. But those are only 3 advantages. The cons? The included cable is an old USB-A to USB-C. Of course, you can buy a USB-C to USB-C cable separately and also get a power adapter for it. Next, the body is made entirely of plastic. Third, the processor can't handle heavy games like Genshin Impact. Fourth, it uses slower UFS 2.2 storage. Fifth, there's no ultra-wide camera and no support for 4K video. As you can see, there are more cons than pros here. So, who is this phone for? It's for people who don't need mobile games or high-quality video recording at all. It's perfect, for example, for couriers, taxi drivers, travelers, or those who work outdoors in any weather. I think this phone would also be a good gift for your mom because it has maximum battery life, water resistance, and a bright screen. I don't think there's anything better as a gift for an older person. Would I buy it for myself? I don't think so. I've been using an iPhone X15 for 2 years now, and it's more than enough for me. For my needs, the lack of 4K video recording and a weak processor for this price are critical drawbacks. For 380 euros, there are more well-balanced devices on the market. For example, for 380 euros, I would get a used but good iPhone, even if it has a smaller battery. And what do you think? Write it in the comments. And would you buy yourself such a phone? Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and see you next time. Bye!